actually lead product management for Google Voice, but today I'll also be leading a wonderful set of panelists, and they'll be talking to you about unifying their communications and their journey as they're taking their workforces forward. So you'll meet them shortly, but before that, I wanted to share a little bit more about our approach to unified communications within G Suite and how we have reached where we are at. So in terms of the workplace, and I think not a surprise, and you have probably seen this in other sessions here, is workplace is very much changing. By 2020, which is next year, half of the workforce is expected to be remote. And even today, when you look at all the frontline workers who are always mobile, but within the Fortune 1000 companies, the data which we are hearing is that 50% of the time is spent away from desk by the knowledge workers. And then the other thing which is happening is that the pace of innovation is becoming faster and faster. So one story which we have been sharing is it took telephones 50 years to reach 50 million users. It took YouTube 4 years. It took Angry Birds 3 months. And with social media, who knows how fast you reach like millions of users. So the pace of innovation is becoming faster. The workforce is becoming more mobile, which means that we have to rethink how we connect everyone all the time from anywhere. But luckily, we have the cloud. It's really the time for the cloud. And with cloud, you can offer that capability. And within G Suite, we have always believed in the cloud. Within Google, we have always believed in the cloud, and G Suite has always been designed to be cloud native. Even so, within G Suite, we have been reimagining what communication looks like for this really modern, mobile, fast-moving workforce. And we have been evolving a product portfolio to offer you these services. So Gmail, which we launched in 2004, so if you think about it a long time ago now, within the course of last couple of years, it's been revamped with intelligence. So we have added features like Smart Reply and Smart Compose, which means if you're on your mobile phones, you can do a one-touch reply, short reply to messages. We have also introduced this feature which we call nudging and snoozing. Nudging especially is really helpful when you're getting so much communication from all the channels, and it reminds you whether you want to take action on an email which you received a few days ago. So there's a lot of good feedback on those features. And then Hangouts, which we are calling Hangouts Classic now, is something which we launched in 2013. And over the course of last 2 years, we have taken Hangouts Classic and we have moved it into 2 different products. One is Hangouts Meet, which is really for team communications. So teams can set up virtual rooms, and through bots, they can also automate a lot of tasks. And then the other product is Hangouts Meet, through which video meetings can occur from anywhere, anytime with a robust infrastructure. So distributed workforces can meet together as if they are in the same room. And then the latest addition, which we have, is Google Voice. And Google Voice, we announced general availability of it at this conference in 11 markets. So Google Voice is the cloud telephony solution. It brings telephony to the modern times. So finally, work calling, you can call from anywhere, anytime, and you can manage it just like you manage G Suite. So those are the 4 products. And then when you think of these products, they provide all the services so you can unify your communications within G Suite. And Mail, Gmail, Hangouts Meet, Hangouts Chat, they are all included within G Suite itself. Google Voice is an add-on, but any G Suite customer can add on Google Voice. And then we are also showing you the hardware, which is Jamboard and Hangouts Meet hardware, for which you take an add-on license. So this is the product portfolio, and today we'll be talking about unifying communications and collaboration, so we wanted to make sure you have that context. So with that, maybe one more thing is as these products come together, and again, I think we had over 10 sessions on unified communications or various products at G Suite where we talked about how we are bringing the products together and what we are doing to evolve them. But the goal, of course, is we bring the right tool in front of the user at the right time so they have seamless workflows. What you are seeing over here is we are bringing Gmail and Hangouts chat together so you can have you can get all of your chatting and email from the same place. And here what you are seeing in the background is that you are able to also start a video meeting. And if a video meeting calls a phone, then you can also see the name of the meeting that is calling you. So the goal is to get all of these together to the user so that the user can work across them seamlessly and really optimize their productivity no matter where they are. So with that quick background on G Suite and unifying communications and how we are offering a unified communication solution within G Suite, I wanted to invite our panelists up. So please, Jean, Dan, Andrew, come on up.
Hey, so I'm Dan Limor with Salesforce, and I was actually on the team that helped Salesforce go to Google at the end of 2013, which back then we were about a little over 10,000 employees, and since then we've gone to about 35,000, built a couple towers along the way, and we've been grown with Google. It's just been a heck of a journey.
I'm Andrew with Custom Ink. We've been using G Suite for, well, a long time. So we started in 2009, and at that time we had about 250 employees, and now we're at about 2,000. So.
It's also remarkable to see how rapidly your companies are growing. I mean, that's really impressive. So we're talking about unifying communications and collaboration. And as a G Suite user, all of you you've used Gmail for a long time. But I would love to get any thoughts from you on additional communication tools. How are you thinking of them? And maybe also you can talk a little bit about how your own workforces are changing. Are you seeing the same trends which the general press is talking about, or which we are seeing broadly across the industries? Maybe you want to start.
So we started off with Gmail and Calendar. So we slowly, organically started using Drive, and time moved on. Hangouts and Meeting didn't exist. We ended up doing a move, and it came at a perfect time. And we looked at a lot of different providers, and Hangouts was the right one. So for us, it kind of grew slowly. Our teams right now we have 20 stores in 8 different locations across the United States and several remote workers. There's several teams within our organization that we actually just leave a Meet Hangout up throughout the day so that we can communicate with each other as if we're in the same office.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so we'd actually seen a couple monumental shifts, both in terms of the size of our workforce and how we work. We sort of bill ourselves as a cloud company, and so just being able to move our collaboration to cloud has been relatively huge for us as we were growing and as we saw the business start taking off. And so it's been, you'll hear the same story probably a couple times, but it's been crazy. We started with Drive probably before I even got on board, and went to Calendar, went to email, went to Hangouts, and just the ability to conduct, I think with specificity around video meetings, it's been sort of changing our culture, just having cameras on by default. And I think I actually said last year too, it's sort of forced personal hygiene to go up as people get to be seen, and it's allowed people to to drive some of our real estate strategy, and it's been very interesting.
I think for us, when we started out, we were dependent a lot on classic Hangouts, right? We instantaneously pushed the boundaries. We found that about 99% of our meetings were less than 25 participants, right? But unfortunately, we have a lot of meetings. So that 1% was upwards of around 10,000 meetings a month, right? That couldn't be supported. So our legacy application we kept in place, and then with the maturity of Meet when it came in and what it was able to do, and adjusting a lot of the call quality and a lot of the metrics that it had, we were able to quickly move from that to Meet. I love Meet. right? I mean, it's really changed the culture, I think, for us. Video enablement, everyone was really scared. Like when we first decided to go Google and use Classic Hangouts for video, people literally wanted us to figure out how we could make the camera turn off, right? By default to start, and as opposed to being on. So luckily we didn't do that, and I think it helped to transform our business and the way people work. I think that the video culture for us has changed. People are more engaged in the meeting, right? It's very hard to multitask when someone can actually see what you're doing and they call you out, right? You know, you can't get away with that. Oh, I was doing, you know. So it's changed, I think, the way we work. And then with regard to the workforce, we've always had traditional, and for a long time, remote workers. I think we do see more remote workers and capabilities, but people still like to come to the office as well and interact. So we kind of, it's like, it's hard to say whether or not I would agree that 50% of our workforce would be 100% remote, right? But who knows?
Yeah.
Things change quickly.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, those are great stories. So that's interesting. But all of you have really embraced the video culture.
Yeah.
And you're saying for you, the transition was like, you know, there was some fear, but people overcame that.
Yeah.
How did you help bring that transition across?
Well, we were using a competitor product and never really used video at all. It had video capabilities. And it actually was a top-down approach. Our CEO at the time, he was very into Google first, and our CIO, she really wanted to help transform how we work as a company, not just from a collaboration, but how we interact with people. So it was led from the top down, right? There was no more presentations in PowerPoint, right? They were slides. You know, senior management wanted to see that. When people joined meetings, the leadership wanted to see the people when they were presenting, right? Prior to Google, we also, we only had like 30 rooms enabled with traditional video conferencing. And in the last 2 years, we now have close to 400 rooms that are video enabled. And it grows. Our AV team can't keep up with it. I mean, we're in the process of deploying yet another 50 rooms right now over the next 2 quarters.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's great to know. Any additional experiences or what you saw within your organizations in terms of moving to a video-first culture, but also setting up meeting spaces with video? You know, that's something, I mean, at Google, we share the story. We have 20,000 rooms with video. We cannot imagine calls without video, actually, or, you know, meeting without video. But I would love to hear, like, if you had any, you know, working in your environments, how did you motivate that change?
Yeah, it's a similar story, but almost a little bit different, where we first went Google from the top down, but we kind of went video bottom up, where we had started just sort of, because of the low cost of getting a room enabled, just started putting it in rooms, started rolling Hangouts out. We let the tech speak for itself. People used the product. People liked the product. People started to see how this could affect their work, their teams, and their productivity, and people just wanted more.
That's great, yeah.
So we started off with one office and quickly grew to having 2 or 3, and we tried a competitor, and everyone was fighting for this one room that had video in it. So it was always a challenge to make the room available. We had the opportunity. We were moving several offices, and at the time, we just made it a decision that we're going to put Google Meets in all these rooms. And when we moved into the space, everyone just loved it, and it was there was no training involved with it, so it was just easy for them to walk in and know how to use it. And you put a Polycom phone on the desk, and it's very hard to know what the other conference room phone number is, so they'd just pick up the Meet and it would work.
That's great. That's great. And then, of course, the Hangouts Classic product now is separated out into Hangouts Chat and Hangouts Meet, and really thank you for keeping up with us. You know, it is, now we have the products, and, and the products are built on very stable, good infrastructure. We're investing a lot in them. So can you share a little bit, like, as you have been rolling out Hangouts Meet, as opposed to the earlier version of Hangouts, where we have been pushing a lot on stability, fleet management, room utilizations. Are you beginning to see some of those making things a little bit easier for your AV tech management or in terms of reachability? I would just love to get any candid insights from you on those.
For us, with the Meets hardware, it doesn't require an awful lot of care and feeding, right? It's all automated. It gets all its updates. It refreshes itself on a cycle based on whether or not what version we want to deploy, right? We want to keep current. So I would say that our success with video enablement in rooms is because of the ease of use and the price point. I mean, you really can't beat the price point when you think about a traditional video conferencing system and then bridging hardware and stuff like that. We've actually also started leveraging, we use the Meet interop capability gateway, from PEXIP as well.
Yeah.
So that, because a lot of our clients, they use Skype for Business and other SIP endpoints. So it's helped that as well for us to be able to bridge that additional traffic into a traditional. So we can keep our users hopefully focused on Meet, but allow other people outside the company to come in with different endpoints.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you did get, like, PEXIP was beneficial because the reachability has been good with the Hangouts Meet, but it looks like the maintenance is not a big deal.
There's no maintenance as far as I'm concerned, really.
Yeah, and maybe you can talk, one of you can talk a little bit also about if you, like, from a network setup perspective, to make sure that, I mean, you do need bandwidth at your end. So, so sometimes I think a challenge which we see is for some customers who do not have the bandwidth, their network set up properly, so they run into more challenges, and then they address them, and then it's fine. But, like, did you have any experiences like that, or if you have any advice for the room?
We really didn't have issues with network. In all of our facilities, we put redundant ISPs in there, and the price of internet is going down every year. So it hasn't. So it hasn't been an issue. And again, the maintenance on the Chrome boxes have been there isn't anything. It's just the initial setup that takes 30 minutes, I think.
That's great.
Yeah, I think the new dedicated Meet IP ranges help us a bit. It was something that we had not had very early on, and honestly, most people didn't really notice. What has also helped was some internal optimizations where people would say, hey, my video conferencing performance is really bad. And we say, okay, get off of VPN, or why are you on VPN? But yeah, so having those dedicated IPs, I think, for growing businesses is going to be incredibly helpful as well.
That's a good tip that's a great tip for the audience. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, maybe I'll move a little bit and talk about enterprise messaging, hot topic right now, and if you can, how are your teams beginning to use enterprise messaging?
So we actually, I think, maybe released chat a little too early, right? Because there wasn't feature parity, right? So we were early adopters of chat. But classic Hangouts, the idea of being able to communicate with people and trying to explain why you would use this versus that was a challenge because you had to discuss feature parity, right? So I think that was a challenge early on. I think the feature parity is getting there right now so that we can now talk about retiring classic Hangouts from an IM perspective. So we use other products as well, in-house,
Of course, yeah.
So it's hard until I think it would be nice if the broader technology communities out there would talk about instant messaging standards so that we could all use what we want to use, but still talk together would be good. But that's a hope.
Yes. No, we hear you, and and also, like, how many chatbots do I have to program, right? So yeah.
For us, I think the magic of Hangouts Chat is actually where chat touches the rest of your day, because it interacts with you in Gmail, it interacts with you in Drive and Meet, and so you're sort of able to not be context switching to other products to accomplish the things that you want to do kind of here and now, and you're able to sort of escalate a chat conversation to a call relatively quickly or schedule a meeting relatively quickly. Just very minor niceties about chat that people probably might not even notice, like when you paste a link to a Drive doc, it adds commenting rights to that doc, so then you don't get a bunch of inbound sharing requests because you sent someone a link to a doc. And so just the way that the suite is able to talk to itself is, for us, I think, leading to a very integrated and meaningful experience.
Are you using Hangouts chat at this point, or?
We are. We were actually using 3 different chats before, and we are on Hangouts chat now. We do have one team that's a holdout, but we've asked them to use both platforms. But the entire company is using chat now, and it does help that we can communicate with each other without having to jump from one program to another.
And did you, like, we know that Hangouts chat, I mean, the product has been evolving really rapidly. If you had a chance to attend some of the earlier sessions, it's talking about how Hangouts chat and Gmail are going to be in the same interface with full rooms. So we are pretty excited about those. I think there's a lot that we can do. But you talked a little bit about side by side, and you talked about how all the teams are now there except one. So was that an approach which you took more broadly as well to encourage usage of, chat with other products, and then the teams, like what was the evolution like? Or was it more that, those who were not using any other products got onto it?
For us, I think it was people like what they like, right? And I think sometimes people get married to something. So it is, I think, a journey to get teams where you would like them to be, right? The idea, when you showed the graphic earlier, right? You're in Gmail, and the whole idea is they may be separate apps, but how you're converging everything together almost in a single pane of glass, right? I think helps to now start selling it, right? So I have my chat. You're talking about now someone is escalated to a video call. It's coming up in the side panel. I think things like that show the benefit.
More user value.
Right, there's huge user value, I think, in that. And I think you take a lot of good feedback from people, right, when we participate, and people send feedback that help cultivate and makes it easier. So I think with these changes that are coming, it helps to talk about other chat tools and really what is the benefit of going to another tool to do chat.
That completely makes sense. I think it has to make sense for the users, and if it makes sense for the users, then it makes sense for all of us. Yeah, great. Are you? Yes. So, and all of you have been early testers of the Google Voice product, which is my product, so thank you. So yeah, although of course we work across G Suite. So, and I would, and you are also a launch partner with us. So again, thank you. So tell us more about how that experience has been for you with Google Voice, and and for your users.
It actually, we were using another competitor product. So our target segment to start off with was our 100% workforce that we had provided a different VoIP client to. And we were retiring that system, so we used that as the means to really get a critical mass of people for testing. During our whole beta program, and we had no real issues. Like, I like when no one calls, right? I mean, how many people here love when no one calls? Because then there's not a problem, right? So, and I think that's what it was for us with Google Voice. The only feedback that we had during probably the beta program, it wasn't about the product itself, but not yet. The mobile apps may not have been released in the Netherlands or France. Right. So we were like, well, you weren't using a mobile app for the other product. So you're just using the browser, that's okay. And just helping them understand that. But that was really, and I wouldn't even consider that a negative comment, right? It's a beta. It wasn't going to be everywhere, and we told people that. So, and the call quality is really, it's very good. Yeah. And we've started testing with the phones as well now, from Poly. Yeah, and it's just easy
to set it up. Yeah.
Right? It's a click, put in the MAC address, and done, and assign it to a person, and the phones are taken care of. And I think the technical skill set of the administrator it does not need to be someone who needs to know how to program on a PBX, right? whether it's a VoIP one or some, I mean, we still internationally have locations that have old PBXs, right? So they're chomping at the bit for when Google Voice is available in their regions and their countries. So
That's great to hear. Yeah,
Yeah.
we hear like the management part of telephony has been. I mean, it is challenging with especially with on-premise PBXs. So to be able to manage it right from the G Suite admin console seems to be getting good feedback. So yeah. Please, Dan.
Yeah, I think for us, it comes down to that magic word of being integrated again, where you're not context switching all day. You're using an interface that's familiar to you. You can use it at your desk, on your laptop, on your mobile device. A lot of the principles that we had seen and that had led to the success of our launch of the Hangouts Classic Video product, where it was just kind of like, it just works. It just kind of, you have it, you use it, you're great, cool. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how voice is going to be tied into chat more and sort of seeing just how deeply integrated it can be into your day.
That's great. Yeah.
Exactly what they said. The great integration. We did have a lot of people ask to be moved over to the beta program when we were testing it out. They like being able to have their phone ringing wherever they are, and being able to check their voice messages by reading it, so that they can quickly look down at it in a meeting and see if it has any relevance. So
That's great to know. Yeah, we did get voicemail transcription out in all countries, including Netherlands. So yeah. So maybe I'm going to switch a little bit. We have talked about the various tools, and we have talked about how, we have to keep bringing user experiences together or, to make it really better and better tools for users, make them really seamless. But one thing which we all talk a lot about is intelligence. We talk about AI and how AI can help with workflows. I would just love, maybe I'll just very open-ended question in what are you seeing, in terms of AI, are you beginning to see any manifestations which are already useful to your users, or is there a wish list? I would just love any thoughts on AI. And we do acknowledge that AI, I think we're doing a lot of great work in it, but it's also something which has to be done carefully, so it's really useful. So getting out things like Smart Reply or Smart Compose, we have done it slowly and thoughtfully so that when it is there, and and we carefully observe the usage also to make sure that it's a feature which users are actually liking. So, yeah.
I think that, especially with regards to voice, right, it'd be, I look forward to see what you guys do with AI, with the idea of, right now the auto attendant is all prompts, right, and numbers, as opposed to, having the conversation with somebody, right, and talking to the person. And I think we've talked about a lot of the other things coming with call centers and stuff like that. But that's something I think that we would like to see. I don't know what other people would like to see, but that type of interaction to, help people out. Because people, they like to talk to somebody, but you can't always staff, right, for the hours that people want to talk to somebody.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Just more as an FI, we do have, for contact centers in particular, and I know we're talking about general voice here, Google Cloud AI team has established a lot of partnerships where there are things like enterprise dialogue, dialogue flow is really trying to really tackle those problems. So yeah, but Daniel?
Yeah, so I think when we talk about AI with regard to, collaboration and productivity, sort of two thoughts come to mind, which is the idea that AI should anticipate an intention and then either take some action or present an option for some sort of action to be taken. And so I think about how we start eliminating some of the more tedious pieces of your day. You come out of a meeting and it's, hey, did anyone take notes? What are we doing? What are we going to follow up on? And so sometimes oh man, I don't even remember what just happened in that meeting. So, I think about AI and it's almost like we could be looking to encapsulate some of that or capture some notes or capture some action items or next steps. And it's just, there's so many different directions that it can go in just about any product, whether it's Smart Compose, Smart Reply, Voice, Meet, Chat. There's just, even Gmail can start suggesting, I think they did it 5-10 years ago, where it's hey, suggest other people that I could be sending this email to. So just sort of anticipating and presenting some sort of option to do something with the information, that rich data that Google's collected about what we can be doing.
practical and useful things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess as I think about it, we have a lot of chat conversations, and I work close with our desktop support team, and they're always asking, like, how do I do this? It would be great if how do I do this goes into Google Drive and pulls up documents saying, did you look at these? So I think that there could be some ways to use AI to respond to people faster and provide documents if that's what they're looking for.
Yeah. That sounds great. That sounds great. Yeah, we are, to your point on, voice, I think we are doing a lot of text-to-speech, speech-to-text, wherever we can do it well and we think it makes sense. So definitely, like the voicemail transcriptions, I don't know if you had a chance to see Hangouts Meet is doing these live closed captioning, and I think they're amazing. Yeah. That helps at least stay even more engaged, so you have people talking and you can see exactly what they're saying. So being YouTube, but I think all of this is great feedback. Thank you. Maybe one question I will ask, and because that's an area which we have been thinking a lot about, is, and a lot of us experience it personally, is we work across time zones. Our teams are really distributed. So this thing of being always on, and then how can you disconnect and have a sense of well-being, if you will, in this environment. And some of the things which we are doing is we are trying to, we are connecting, for example, calendar presence to various tools so that you can get some quiet time and people can be aware that this is your quiet time. Like, a lot of times, I would say increasingly there are people we meet virtually, and when we meet, it's, when we meet them in person, it's almost like a treat, right? So, so we don't even know what time zones people are in, and we work with them a lot sometimes. So how's that manifesting in your organizations, and how are you seeing, are you encouraging your employees? How do you do that? Like, how are you helping your workforce set some boundaries and set projects on their time?
Probably, so we have a dedicated change management team, so as new features and functionalities come out, they make sure and disseminate the information, right? When you should use it and how to use it, right? We have, I think, more people, especially with voice, right? So showing people that preserve working hours, right? So your voice automatically goes into do not disturb, during hours, and you can set those hours. And we've been showing them, and more people, I think, are using them, right? And I think as there's more stronger integration with calendar, right? The idea of more enhanced presence, right? So that when you're on a call and someone's pinging you, they know you're on I'm not responding because I'm ignoring you, right? I'm not responding because I'm on a call, right? Or I'm in a meet, right? And I think those things will come relatively soon. But those are the things that I think will help, right, with people with the life-work balance and to bridge the gap, because everyone needs that downtime, I believe.
Yeah, right on. Took the words right out of my mouth. Yeah. So, it's interesting to see how, that data is available in calendar, whether it's your working hours, your existing schedule, your availability. But Google actually probably has some more data too. When people are logging in, when people are active on pages or using a product, probably know when people are idle or not using a product. So it'd be relatively easy to start suggesting working hours for people who haven't set that up yet, and to say, hey, you sign in at 8:30 a.m. every morning, or, not if you're me, but, and you stop working at, 6 p.m. Do you want to set this up as working hours in your calendar? So we can actually start taking that data and doing something with it to help you not work as much.